This question comes from Ethan. He says, which quarterback do you want to see on the field after the Jets game? To me, Matt Moore seemed to utilize the weapons of Landry and Stills more than Cutler did all year. You're absolutely right. I don't think anybody can argue that when Matt Moore was in the game, the passing offense was the best it's looked all year. And it was really nice to see the passing offense carry our offense because, again, we're so talented at the skill positions. We're talented up front as well on the offensive line that we shouldn't have to rely on J.J.'s success in the running game to be a successful offense. We shouldn't have to rely on that. We can carry our offense with our pass game. Our pass game can be effective without a successful running game because of the talent on the football field. So when we finally saw that in the Jets game, because the running game we couldn't do anything. We couldn't do anything in the running game. The passing game really carried us to that victory on offense. And again, there's no doubt that when Matt Moore came in, that was the best it's looked. And some of the things that have been overlooked, little minute details here and there about Jay Cutler, is Adam Gase calls for the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, Jay Cutler had the same offense in Chicago, but it's different personnel. Some things worked for this team more than they worked for Chicago's team, and the way he calls plays is different when Jay Cutler was there. Here in Miami, we're more of a physical football team. We're more of a smash-mouth football team. We line up under center way more than Jay Cutler did in Chicago. It's not even close. That I think Matt Moore is more familiar with the team in terms of its personnel, and he's more familiar with how Adam Gase wants to run this offense with this particular personnel. So I think that's why we saw a little bit more aggressiveness on Sunday. A lot more five wide. I mean, when we run empty anytime with Jay Cutler this year was not successful. That was really the first time we really saw it be successful. The one problem I have, and I want, one question mark I have, is obviously it looks like Matt's going to start this game for sure. So he's going to have a really good chance to prove what he can do against a very good Ravens defense and, very, very talented playmakers across the board with that defense, great front seven. So he's going to have a tough task on the road in Baltimore. So if he does some things and he's successful in that game, I think it's going to really make me change. Really, I'm going to be pointing in one direction. Right now, I really don't have an answer for you guys. The two things that I think that the one thing that I like about Jay more than I do Matt is Jay's more mobile than Matt is. He has better pocket awareness than Matt. He can navigate the pocket better than Matt can. And where the offensive line is right now, they're not pass protecting great. The pass protection has not been great. It wasn't great when Matt came in. Jay has the ability to navigate the pocket and be, you saw some plays on Sunday where he was dodging 3 or 4 tacklers, and then he finally got taken down by, either the nose tackle or somebody else. But he was making plays within the pocket. The one question mark I have is can Matt Moore handle the pressure? Will he throw dumb turnovers? Will he do stupid stuff? If he can handle the pressure, then I think we should go with Matt Moore. But if he can't, I would stick with Jay Cutler. I think that's the biggest divide. Is I trust Jay's mobility in the pocket more than I do Matt Moore's, and his ability to make plays when things break down is better than Matt's, and I don't think you can really make an argument about that. But again, the thing that Matt has over Jay is he's more familiar with how Adam Gase wants things done with this particular personnel, and obviously he makes a decision, and when he sees somebody open, Matt Moore throws a beautiful ball every time. Accuracy of ball placement has never been an issue. It's been he stares down his receivers sometimes, and he's obviously a little bit overly aggressive at times as well. And sometimes he can't. Sometimes, obviously, when he's trying to make something happen and there's nothing there, he throws interceptions. When there's pressure in his face, it's 3rd and 10, we need a play, he sometimes makes dumb decisions with the football. Very similar with both quarterbacks in that regard. Sometimes both of them try to make something happen when there's nothing there. But again, the biggest question I have with Matt Moore is his mobility in the pocket and how he looks when pressure does come on a consistent basis at him, because he will see it at some point this year. I just want to see how he handles that. This question comes from Brandon. He says, so the offense looked way better with Moore. Is there a chance Jay Cutler gets his job back? Yes, there's a huge chance that Jay Cutler gets his job back. And it's not because Matt Moore is better than Jay Cutler or Jay Cutler is better than Matt Moore. I think it's because of the faith that Adam Gase puts in his quarterback or starting quarterback. I honestly think no matter it would really take Matt Moore throwing for 10, having like an insane game like he did against the Jets at MetLife, against a good football team against the Ravens. It would take him, having a really, really good football game and really making a statement like, yes, I am way better than the guy that is starting over me. If he doesn't do that, if there's not like a big enough if there's not a big enough difference between the two, I really don't see Adam Gase, regardless of what Matt Moore does, if he wins a game or not, whatever he does, I really don't see Adam Gase playing Matt Moore over Jay Cutler, and it's because of one reason. Jay Cutler is Adam Gase's guy. Adam Gase called him out of retirement to play for us. I just don't see Adam going back on that and starting Matt Moore over him. I just don't see it. I really just don't see it. Again, this is not my opinion. I just really, from things that we've heard and things that we've read and things that we've heard through the media, Adam Gase and Jay Cutler have a very tight relationship. I think promises were made when he came out of retirement, and I don't think Adam Gase is the kind of guy that goes back on those promises. The Colts could call us tomorrow and say, I will give you Andrew Luck for 2 first-round picks, and Adam Gase would say no on the sole reason of he doesn't go back on things that he said. He's a faithful dude. He says what he means. He does not lie to his players. He just doesn't. And I just don't think that he would go back on that for anything, to be honest with you. So, again, it has nothing to do with who's better, who's not. I just think Adam is a very faithful head coach, and he says what he means, and obviously he just doesn't lie. So I think promises were made. I don't think he goes back on that. That's the reason. That is the reason I don't think Matt Moore would start, even if Jay Cutler came back. I just think they have a very tight relationship. Like I said, I think promises were made, and I don't think Adam Gase goes back on his word. This question comes from Ronald. He says, do you think Miami should explore trading for wide receiver Martavis Bryant from the Steelers? Whatever you answer, why do you feel that way? No, especially now that Byron Maxwell is no longer on the football team. I don't think we have the assets and the ammunition to go after a player like that. Obviously, Martavis, if you don't know, he's not happy being a Steeler. He wants out of Pittsburgh, so whatever the Steelers might do, I think they'll probably end up releasing him, if anything. In terms of a trade, like I said, I just don't think we have the assets and the pieces to really make that move. I really don't know what the Steelers would want for him. Maybe, a 5th-round pick, just to really get him out of their hands, something like that. Would I give a 5th-round pick up for Martavis Bryant? Yeah, I definitely would. I think he's a very talented player. He comes from that Clemson upbringing. All of the receivers that have come from Clemson in the last 10 years have been great. Think about, obviously, Martavis Bryant's one of them, DeAndre Hopkins, the list goes on and on with those guys. Mike Williams, San Diego. Clemson is just bred a bunch of great receivers, and I just love what he would bring to an offense. When you talk, he's a big, long, he plays the ball in the air great, he's a deep threat, he's a pretty good route runner, he's a mismatch when you talk about Martavis Bryant. He can be a legitimate number 1 receiver on any NFL offense, and he's a really, really good number 2. So yeah, he's a problem with whoever goes out there and gets him. You're getting a very, very good football player. So would I trade for him? We don't need a receiver. That's the thing. Obviously, we have Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills, and Juice Landry. So his future in Miami, if we did trade for him, I don't think would be very bright. I don't think he would be here for very long, depending on what he did. So no, I don't think in the long run it would be a good idea, just because of those things. We have receivers on the team now that we have to figure out their future with Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry. Obviously, we got to figure out what we're going to do with those two. Bringing another guy in, we have young guys behind those guys. I just don't think it fits for that reason, and the other reason is I just don't think we have the ammunition. Again, very talented player. Would I mind trading for Martavis Bryant? No, he would add another weapon to this offense. He's a very talented guy. Like I said, when you talk about the 50-50 ball, I mean, he's a master at that, and he's a great deep threat, and he can house a ball from the 20-yard line at that size. I mean, he's a big dude who's got elite speed. So, very, very good, talented player. But for those 2 reasons, I just don't see it happening. This question comes from the Dill Pickle. Why isn't J.J. being more consistent? It's the matchup. It's what the game plan for what particular defense we're playing. It has nothing to do with J.J. He has no running lanes at all. Some of the plays he made on Sunday that were positive runs were magnificent runs and great efforts by him as an individual. I mean, football is a team sport. There's 11 guys. There's 10 other guys on the field, and they all have to be doing something right, or you're just not going to get, individually, you're just not going to be successful. So it has nothing to do with J.J. It's not like, he's not seeing the holes, he's not hitting the holes quick enough, he's being indecisive in what lanes he's picking, he doesn't fit the scheme. It's none of those things. He's very talented. He's one of the more talented players in the league. Super talented. He's going to be really, really good for a long time. He's on pace for a great season. We haven't rushed for a touchdown yet, and that's, again, has a lot to do with the play calling when we get in the red zone because teams are playing the run so hard, and it has to do with, he just can't block everybody by himself. So I think it has a lot to do with those things. It has nothing to do with JHI. Again, sometimes it's matchups. Sometimes it's game plan. Sometimes it has a lot. Sometimes it's just the other players not doing their job. Teams, especially when we played the Jets, they really dared us to pass and really win one-on-one matchups, which we haven't done a good job on a consistent basis all year. And we did a great job of being aggressive, pressing their secondary, hitting deep plays, not just a go route or a fade route, plays over the middle. Being very consistent in the pass game was a huge reason why we won that football game. And if we can do that on a consistent basis, Jay Ajayi and the running game as a whole will be more consistent because we can threaten teams in other ways. We're not one-dimensional. So that's a huge reason why I think Jay Ajayi is going to be way more successful for the rest of the year, is because if we do have a threat, a legitimate threat of the pass game, if we can be one of the more successful pass games in the league, Jay Ajayi he'll be getting a good amount of production each and every single week. This question comes from Todd Jean. He says, do you think Jay Cutler gave up on the Dolphins? Do you think he's passionate about football? Yeah, I think you can't question a man's passion when he comes out of retirement to play for a football team. I mean, the man clearly wants to win. He clearly wants to end off his career on a high note. He would have stayed retired. If he had no passion for the game, if he was in it for the money, if he was in it for the fame, and all the other accolades you get with being an NFL starting quarterback, then you wouldn't come back out of retirement to play for us to win football games. He wasn't doing it for the money. He was coming back to play football games. Obviously, the man got a good paycheck when he came back. It had nothing to do with it. He was getting a great paycheck for just talking about a football game while other people watch. So, yeah, I think he's still passionate, and he still wants to play football, and he still wants to win. Like I said, I think he wants to play, go off on a high note. When you see the difference between Jay Cutler and Matt Moore, is it 100% true that other players are around anybody else, if they're passionate about something, if they're showing emotion, if they're getting hyped and they're screaming, yelling, anything like that, of course your teammates feed off of that. That's just not how Jay Cutler is. And yes, that can sometimes be a detriment to your football team if it's a 3rd and 10, it's an incomplete pass, and you really don't say anything, you don't do anything. So certain things like that, if you throw for a touchdown and you're hyped up, even though you're still down a touchdown, yeah, sometimes that can be a detriment to your football team. I can completely agree with that. I just don't think Jay Cutler, I think he handles himself differently than other people do. And he runs his football team, he commands the huddle differently than other people. And some people don't like the way he does that. And I can understand that. People love the way Matt Moore acts when he's on the football field. I mean, after every touchdown, he's getting hyped up. He's yelling at Adam Gase. He's, his face is red. So, yeah, there's a difference in the two ways, but I don't think has lost his passion at all. Yeah, he has a goofy face. Yes, he looks like a Who from Hort Here's a Who, and he doesn't show emotion half the dang time. But he does get on players. He does try to correct mistakes. He is passionate about the game, and he does want to win. He just handles himself differently than other people. This question comes from William. He says, so the Dolphins and Bills are tied at 4-2. We faced them and the Patriots the final 6 games. Do you think it will come down to the last few games to determine who is on top or no? Yes, I think it's going to come down to that. I think the AFC East is very tight right now, and this is what you want as a fan. It's very stressful. Sometimes you will have a heart attack. Sometimes you will have to go to the hospital. Yes, sometimes you're going to scream at other people who ever ask you what the score is at any other particular time. Yes, it's very stressful, but this is what you want as a fan. You want to cheer on your team in these types of moments because this is what football is about, and I love it, and I do think it's going to come down to those last final games. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to be easy playing, your final, 4 games, 1 at home against Buffalo, 1 on the road at Buffalo. In November, you got New England almost back-to-back. Yes, it's going to be tough, but I think, yes, it's going to come down to whoever wants to be the AFC East champ is going to have to win those games. Whoever is going to be the AFC East champ is going to win those games. So, yeah, it's going to come down to those final games, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome, and that's what you want as a fan, and I can't wait. December and November are my favorite months of the year because of it's playoff time. It's the playoff run. If you want to be that team who's going to still be standing on January, you have to win those games, regardless of who you play. So yeah, I think whoever's going to win the AFC East is going to win those games, and it's going to be a ball. Alright guys, that has been your fan Q&A for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I 100% enjoyed it. I think this one was a little shorter than usual, but we have the podcast tomorrow, and the day after that is actually the game. So I can't wait to do the podcast to answer more questions. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.